Camila Santos opened her eyes slowly. Something felt wrong. The smell of coffee filled her tiny apartment. But Camila hadn't made any coffee. She lived alone with her 8-year-old daughter, Isabella, and Isabella definitely didn't know how to use the coffee maker. Camila sat up on her couch, her heart beating fast. She had slept there last night because Isabella had bad dreams and needed to sleep in Mommy's bed. Her neck hurt from the uncomfortable position, but that wasn't what made her freeze. There were sounds coming from her kitchen, the clinking of plates, the soft hum of someone moving around, a man's voice, quiet and confused, muttering to himself. Camila's mind raced. Someone is in my house. She grabbed her phone, her fingers shaking. Should she call the police? Should she run to Isabella's room? No. To her room where Isabella was sleeping? Then she heard it clearly. Where did she keep the sugar? That voice. She knew that voice. Camila stood up slowly, her legs feeling like jelly. She walked toward the kitchen, each step careful and quiet. She peeked around the corner, and her whole world stopped. David Mitchell stood in her kitchen. The David Mitchell, the CEO of Mitchell Corporation. The man who owned the building where she cleaned toilets. The man who walked past her every single day without ever looking at her face. The man who made more money in 1 hour than she made in an entire year. He was making scrambled eggs in her kitchen, wearing his expensive suit from yesterday, now wrinkled and messy. His normally perfect hair stuck up in different directions. His tie hung loose around his neck. What? Camila's voice came out as a whisper. What are you doing in my home? David jumped, dropping the spatula. It clattered on the floor. He turned to face her, and Camila saw something she never expected to see on David Mitchell's face. Fear. I don't know, he said, his voice shaking. I woke up on your couch 20 minutes ago. I can't remember how I got here. Camila's hands formed fists at her sides. You don't remember? You just appeared in my apartment? I know how this looks. Do you? Camila's voice got stronger, harder. Do you really? Because from where I'm standing, the powerful white CEO just broke into a black woman's home. That's what this looks like. David raised his hands. Please, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm trying to understand. The last thing I remember is leaving the board meeting last night around midnight. Everything after that is gone. Just blank. Camila stared at him. She wanted to scream. She wanted to call the police. She wanted to grab Isabella and run. But something stopped her. David Mitchell looked broken. His eyes were red, like he'd been crying. His hands trembled. This wasn't the cold, mean man who yelled at employees. This was someone lost and scared. Mommy? Both of them turned. Isabella stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Her pink pajamas had cartoon cats on them. She looked so small, so innocent. Baby, go back to bed, Camila said quickly, moving between Isabella and David. But Isabella was staring at David with wide eyes. Is that the man from TV? The mean one? Camila's heart broke a little. Even her 8-year-old daughter knew David Mitchell's reputation. Isabella, room. Now. But Mommy, now. Isabella's lip trembled, but she turned and ran back to the bedroom. The door closed softly. Camila turned back to David, her eyes blazing. You need to leave, right now, before I call the police and tell them you broke into my home while my daughter was here. I will leave, David said quietly. I promise. But please, can you just tell me if anything happened last night? Did I say anything? Do anything? I need to know. You need to know? Camila laughed, but there was no humor in it. For 3 years, I've cleaned your office. 3 years. Do you know how many times you've looked at me? Actually looked at me? David said nothing. 0, Camila answered. Not once. I'm invisible to you. I'm just a woman who empties your trash and makes your bathroom smell nice. But now you need NY help? Now you see me? You're right, David said, and his voice cracked. You're completely right. I don't deserve your help. I don't deserve anything from you. I've been terrible. To you. To everyone like you. Camila crossed her arms. Like me? You mean poor? Black? A single mother? All of it, David whispered. All of it, and I'm sorry. Before Camilla could respond, her phone rang. She looked at the screen. Unknown number. Something told her to answer it. Hello, is this Camila Santos? A woman's voice, sharp and cold. Yes. Who is this? This is Rebecca Mitchell, David's sister. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Camila's eyes went to David. He looked confused. Rebecca continued, her voice like ice. I know my brother is in your apartment, and I know exactly what you're trying to do. What I'm trying to do? Camila repeated. Lady, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play games with me, Rebecca snapped. You're a cleaner, a nobody, and now you think you can trap my brother? Blackmail us? Get some money? Camila's blood turned hot. Excuse me? I'm offering you $5,000, Rebecca said. Cash. Today. You take the money. You forget last night ever happened, and you never speak to anyone about this, especially not the media. $5,000. That was more than Camila made in 4 months of cleaning. That was Isabella's new school clothes, her overdue rent, the doctor's visit she'd been putting off. That was survival. And if I say no? Camila asked quietly. Rebecca laughed. It was a cruel sound. Then I destroy you. I make sure you never work again. Not in this city. Not anywhere. I will make your life so miserable that you will wish you'd taken my generous offer. David's eyes went wide. He stepped forward, reaching for the phone, but Camila held up her hand to stop him. $5,000. Isabella's face flashed in her mind. Her baby girl who deserved so much more than this tiny apartment and second-hand clothes. Camila took a deep breath, and then she smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a smile of a woman who'd been pushed too far. The smile of someone who'd been invisible for too long. The smile of a person who was done being afraid. No, Camila said clearly. What? Rebecca sounded shocked. I said no. I don't want your money. You're making a huge mistake. The only mistake, Camila said, her voice strong and clear, was thinking you could scare me. See, Rebecca Mitchell, you just made your first big error. You show me you're afraid. And people with real power, they don't threaten. They don't bribe. They already won. You have no idea who you're dealing with. No, Camila interrupted. You have no idea who you're dealing with. But you're about to find out. She hung up the phone. David stared at her, his mouth open. What did you just do? He whispered. Camila looked at him. And in that moment, she wasn't a scared cleaner anymore. She was something else. Something powerful. I just started a war, she said calmly. And your sister? She already lost. The silence in the tiny apartment was heavy. David Mitchell stood frozen in Camila's kitchen, staring at her like he'd never really seen her before. And maybe he hadn't. Not really. You just turned down $5,000, David said slowly. Do you understand what my sister will do to you now? Camila walked to her old coffee pot and poured herself a cup. Her hands were steady. Calm. Let me tell you a story, Mr. Mitchell. A story about a 16-year-old girl. Camila. No. You want to know about me? Then listen. She sat down at her small kitchen table. That girl got pregnant. Her family kicked her out, said she was embarrassing them, ruining their reputation. She was alone, scared, and had nowhere to go. David sat down across from her, quiet. That girl worked 3 jobs while going to school, Camila continued. She slept in shelters. She ate 1 meal a day so her baby could have formula. She studied in libraries because she had no home. And you know what she learned? What? David whispered. That being invisible has power. Camila's eyes locked onto his. When people don't see you, they say things, do things. They forget you're even there. For 3 years, I cleaned your office, Mr. Mitchell. For 3 years, I was a ghost in your building. I don't understand. Camila's phone rang again. She looked at the screen and smiled that dangerous smile again. It's your sister. She answered. Hello, Rebecca. You're fired. Rebecca's voice came to the speaker, loud and angry, effective immediately. Security will escort you out if you ever step foot in Mitchell Corporation again. On what grounds? Camila asked calmly. Disciplinary issues. Theft. Harassment. Take your pick. Interesting. Camila took a sip of her coffee. And you have proof of these things? I don't need proof, Rebecca snapped. I have power. I have lawyers. I have connections. And you? You're nobody. You're nothing. Camila laughed softly. You know what's funny, Rebecca? I thought the same thing about myself for a long time. I really did. But then I realized something important. What's that? Rebecca's voice dripped with sarcasm. Nothing people are the most dangerous people, Camila said, because we have nothing to lose. Is that a threat? No, it's a warning. You should have taken the time to know who I am before you tried to destroy me. I know exactly who you are, Rebecca said. You're a cleaner with a criminal record. I don't have a criminal record, Camila interrupted. You will by the time I'm done. I'll make sure everyone knows you're a liar, a thief, and a woman who tried to trap my brother. No one will hire you, not even McDonald's. Your daughter will watch you lose everything. David stood up, his face red. Rebecca, stop. But Camila held up her hand again. Her face was calm, terrifyingly calm. Are you done? Camila asked. Done? I haven't even started. Because now it's my turn. Camila's voice changed. It became sharp, strong. For 3 years, Rebecca, I cleaned the 14th floor, the executive floor. Do you know what's on the 14th floor? Rebecca went quiet. The boardroom, Camila continued, with its fancy table and expensive chairs. And do you know what people forget about boardrooms? What are you talking about? Rebecca's voice sounded uncertain now. The air vents, Camila said simply. I clean those vents every week. And do you know what's interesting about air vents in boardrooms? David's eyes went wide. No, he whispered. You didn't. Sound travels, Camila finished. Really, really well. The phone was silent. Then, you're bluffing. Camila stood up and walked to her bedroom. David followed her, confused. She opened her closet and pulled out a small box. Inside were 3 old phones and a tiny recording device. March 15th, 2023, Camila said, pressing play on one phone. Rebecca's voice came through clearly. We'll announce layoffs next week. 500 people. Then we'll give ourselves bonuses from the savings. They'll never connect the dots. Another voice, a board member. What about the media? Rebecca again will blame market conditions. Stock prices. No one questions that. Camila stopped the recording. Want to hear more? David sat down on Camila's bed, his face white. How much do you have? Everything, Camila said quietly. Every meeting, every conversation, every illegal thing your sister has done for 3 years. I have recordings of her creating fake disciplinary files to fire people she didn't like. I have proof of discrimination, retaliation, fraud. Why? David asked, why did you do this? Camila looked at him, and her eyes were sad. Because I knew this day would come. Maybe not exactly like this. But I knew eventually someone would try to hurt me just for existing, just for being in the wrong place, just for being poor and black and easy to crush. She sat down next to David. I didn't want revenge, Mr. Mitchell. I wanted insurance. I wanted to survive. But your sister just made this personal. The phone rang again. Camila answered. You're lying, Rebecca said, but her voice shook. Even if you have recordings, they're illegal. You can't use them. Actually, a new voice came to the phone, deep and confident. In this state, only one party needs to consent to recording a conversation. And Camila was present for all of these conversations as an employee in the building. The recordings are perfectly legal. Who is this? Rebecca demanded. Dr. Marcus Hamilton. The man said, attorney at law. I specialize in labor rights, discrimination cases, and civil rights violations. And I've been working with Ms. Santos for 6 months now, reviewing her evidence. It's quite compelling. David looked at Camila with new eyes. "You've been planning this?" "No," Camila said. "I've been protecting myself." "There's a difference." Dr. Hamilton continued on the phone. "Ms. Mitchell, I'm calling to inform you that we're prepared to file 3 separate lawsuits against you and Mitchell Corporation. Racial discrimination, wrongful termination, and illegal retaliation. We have audio evidence, documentation, and multiple witnesses." "This is blackmail," Rebecca shouted. "No," Dr. Hamilton said calmly. "Blackmail is when someone threatens to expose information unless they're paid. We're not asking for payment. We're filing lawsuits. That's called justice. I'll bury you both." "Actually, you won't," Dr. Hamilton interrupted, "because I've already sent copies of all evidence to 3 major news outlets. If anything happens to Ms. Santos or her daughter, anything at all, those recordings go public immediately. Consider it insurance." Camila could hear Rebecca breathing hard on the other end. "You have 48 hours, Dr. Hamilton said. You can settle this quietly, or we can do this in court with cameras and reporters. Your choice." He hung up. David looked at Camila. "You're really going to do this? Take on my family? The company?" "Your sister threatened my daughter," Camila said, and her voice was ice. "She said she'd make sure Isabella watched me lose everything. She made this about my baby girl. I didn't know." "Of course you didn't know." Camila stood up, her anger finally showing. "You don't know anything about people like me. You walk past us every day and never wonder about our lives, our struggles, our children. We're just a help, just a service." David flinched. "But let me tell you something about mothers who have nothing," Camila continued. "We're fighters. We're survivors. And when you threaten our children, we become something else entirely." "What's that?" David asked quietly. "We become unstoppable." A knock came at the door. Camila checked the peephole and opened it. A tall black man in an expensive suit walked in, carrying a briefcase. His presence filled the room with confidence. "Ms. Santos," he said warmly, shaking her hand. "Dr. Marcus Hamilton. It's good to finally meet in person." "Thank you for coming so quickly," Camila said. Dr. Hamilton looked at David. "Mr. Mitchell, I've heard a lot about you." David stood awkwardly. "I'm not part of this. I mean, I don't support what Rebecca." "Then you'll testify," Dr. Hamilton said simply. It wasn't a question. "I what?" "If you truly don't support your sister's actions, you'll testify against her in court. You'll tell the truth about the company's practices." David looked trapped. "That's my family. My company." "Exactly," Dr. Hamilton said, "which means your testimony would be powerful, credible, game-changing." Camila watched David struggle. This was the moment, the choice between comfort and conscience, between family loyalty and doing what's right. "I need time," David said finally. "You have 48 hours, Dr. Hamilton said. "Same as your sister." He opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. "Ms. Santos, I've reviewed everything. The recordings, the documents, the timeline. You've built an ironclad case. Can we win?" Camila asked. Dr. Hamilton smiled. "Win? Ms. Santos, we're not just going to win. We're going to change everything." Isabella appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Camila's face softened immediately. "Come here, baby." Isabella walked over, and Camila picked her up, even though she was getting big for that. She held her daughter tight. Dr. Hamilton watched them, and his expression grew serious. "Ms. Mitchell threatened this child?" "Yes," Camila said. Dr. Hamilton's jaw tightened. "Then we're not settling. We're going all the way. Public trial. Full exposure. Everything." "But the money," David started. "This isn't about money," Camila said, looking at her daughter's innocent face. "This is about making sure no one else has to be invisible. No other mother has to record conversations just to prove she deserves basic human dignity." She looked at David. "You asked why I did this? That's why. Not for me. For every person your sister crushed. For every worker she threw away. For every mother trying to feed her kids while rich people decide we don't matter. David closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. "I'll testify," he said quietly. Dr. Hamilton nodded. "Good, because tomorrow morning this goes public." The next morning, Camila woke up before the sun. She made Isabella breakfast. Pancakes with strawberries, her favorite. She braided her daughter's hair carefully, taking time with each section. She picked out Isabella's best dress, the yellow one with flowers. "Mommy, why am I so fancy today?" Isabella asked, spinning around. "Because today is special," Camila said, kissing her forehead. "Today, Mommy is going to be brave." "You're always brave," Isabella said simply. Camila's heart swelled. If only her daughter knew how scared she really was. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Hamilton. "Meeting at the cafe in 1 hour. Bring everything." Camila took a deep breath. This was it. Before we continue with this incredible ending, if you're loving Camila's journey from invisible cleaner to unstoppable force, please like this story. Share it with someone who needs inspiration today. And subscribe so you never miss powerful stories like this one. Your support helps us bring more voices like Camila's to life. Now let's finish this. At the small cafe downtown, Dr. Hamilton sat at a corner table with his laptop open. David Mitchell sat across from him, looking like he hadn't slept. His expensive suit was wrinkled. His eyes were red. Camila walked in with Isabella, holding her hand. "Ms. Santos." Dr. Hamilton stood, professional and respectful. "And you must be Isabella. Your mother has told me wonderful things about you." Isabella smiled shyly and hid behind Camila's leg. They sat down. Dr. Hamilton pulled out a folder, so thick it barely closed. "This is 3 years of evidence," he said quietly. 47 recorded conversations. 82 documents showing falsified disciplinary records. Evidence of racial discrimination in hiring and firing. Proof of illegal retaliation against employees who complained, and evidence of financial fraud, bonuses paid from layoff savings. David put his head in his hands. "I didn't know it was this bad." "You didn't want to know," Camila said, not unkindly. "That's different." Dr. Hamilton continued. "In 40 minutes, I'm filing 3 lawsuits in federal court. By noon, every major news outlet will have copies of the recordings. By tonight, this will be national news. Can't we still settle?" David asked desperately. "I'll pay whatever." "No," Camila said firmly. "But think about Isabella." "I am thinking about Isabella." Camila's voice rose, then softened when she saw her daughter look up with worried eyes. She took Isabella's hand. "I'm thinking about the world she's growing up in. A world where powerful people can crush anyone they want. Where being poor and black means being invisible. Where speaking up gets you destroyed." She looked at Dr. Hamilton. "I want this public. I want every worker who was fired unfairly to know they're not alone. I want every person who was too scared to speak up to see that it's possible to fight back." Dr. Hamilton smiled with pride. "Then that's exactly what we'll do." David's phone rang. He looked at the screen, and his face went pale. "It's Rebecca." "Put it on speaker," Dr. Hamilton said. David pressed a button with shaking fingers. "David, where are you?" Rebecca's voice was sharp with panic. "There are reporters outside the building. They're asking about layoffs and discrimination. Someone leaked something to the press." "That would be me," Dr. Hamilton said calmly into the phone. Rebecca gasped. "You can't do this. We can settle. Name your price." "We already did this dance yesterday," Dr. Hamilton said. "You threatened a single mother and her child. You fired her illegally. You tried to intimidate her into silence. The time for settling is over. I'll destroy all of you." "With what?" Dr. Hamilton interrupted. "We have the evidence. We have the recordings. We have witnesses. And as of 8 minutes ago, we have restraining orders preventing you from contacting Ms. Santos or anyone associated with this case." Silence. Then Rebecca's voice came back, quieter but venomous. "David, you're really going to let them do this? To your own sister?" David looked at Camila, at Isabella coloring on a piece of paper, innocent and unaware. At Dr. Hamilton, waiting patiently. Then back at the phone. "You threatened a child, Rebecca," David said, his voice breaking. "You became someone I don't recognize. Someone I don't want to be. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm testifying against you. I'm saying I'm resigning from the company. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, but you did this to yourself." Rebecca screamed something, but David hung up. He looked at Camila with tears running down his face. "I should have seen you. All of you. Every person I walked past like they were furniture. I should have cared." "You're seeing us now," Camila said. "That's a start." Dr. Hamilton's phone buzzed. He looked at it and smiled. "The lawsuits are filed. It's official." 3 hours later, Rebecca Mitchell stepped out of the elevator at Mitchell Corporation headquarters. Reporters swarmed her immediately. "Ms. Mitchell, is it true you fired over 300 employees to fund executive bonuses?" "Ms. Mitchell, do you have a comment on the recordings showing racial discrimination?" "Ms. Mitchell, did you threaten a single mother and her 8-year-old daughter?" Rebecca's face went from pale to red. "No comment. These are lies. Fabrications." "We've heard the recordings," a reporter interrupted. "That's your voice, isn't it?" The elevator behind Rebecca opened again. Camila stepped out. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair pulled back, her head held high. She looked directly at Rebecca. The camera swung toward her. "Ms. Santos," a reporter called, "is it true you recorded board meetings for 3 years?" "Yes," Camila said clearly. "I did, because I knew that one day someone would try to erase me, try to pretend I didn't matter, try to destroy me just because they could." "Why are you doing this?" another reporter asked. Camila looked at the cameras. She thought about every mother working 3 jobs, every person dismissed as just a help, every voice silenced by fear. "Because invisible people deserve to be seen," she said. "Because our children deserve better. Because justice isn't just for rich people." Rebecca tried to push past the reporters, but they followed her. "Ms. Mitchell, will you resign?" "Ms. Mitchell, what about the fraud allegations?" Rebecca spun around, her face twisted with rage. "She's nobody. A cleaner. A human being." Camila interrupted quietly. "That's what I am. A human being who deserves dignity. Just like everyone you fired. Everyone you hurt. Everyone you forgot was human." Rebecca's mouth opened and closed. She had no words, no threats, no power left. Security escorted her away as the cameras kept flashing. David appeared beside Camila. "I submitted my resignation this morning," he said. "I'm stepping down as CEO." "What will you do?" Camila asked. "Testify. Tell the truth. And maybe try to become someone better than I was." Dr. Hamilton joined them, grinning. "The board is in chaos. 3 board members already resigned. The stock is dropping. And we have 17 more employees ready to file their own lawsuits with our evidence." "Is it over?" Camila asked. "For Rebecca?" "Yes. The board is forcing her to resign and give up her shares. For you?" He smiled. "It's just beginning." 6 months later, Camila walked through the halls of Sterling Industries, the new name for the restructured Mitchell Corporation. But she wasn't cleaning anymore. She wore a professional suit. Her own office had her name on the door, Camila Santos, Director of Human Resources. David, now a major shareholder but not CEO, had pushed for her hiring. The new board agreed unanimously. "We need someone who sees people," David had said. "Someone who knows what it's like to be invisible." Camila's first act was creating a program to review every employee fired in the past 5 years. Dr. Hamilton helped investigate each case. 47 people got their jobs back. 20 more received settlements and apologies. Rebecca Mitchell lived alone now in a small apartment. Nothing like Camila's, but not the mansion she was used to. No company, no power, no respect. The courts forced her to create a foundation for workers' rights with her remaining money. "Mommy." Isabella ran into Camila's office after school. "Look, I got an A on my story." Camila picked up her daughter and spun her around. "That's my smart girl. What was the story about?" It was about a superhero, Isabella said proudly. A superhero who didn't have powers or a cape. She just had bravery and love. Camila's eyes filled with tears. That's a beautiful story, baby. It's about you, Mommy, Isabella said simply. You're my superhero. Later that evening, after Isabella went to bed, Camila stood at her window looking at the city. Her phone rang. Dr. Hamilton. How's our champion of justice? He asked warmly. Tired, Camila admitted, but good. We helped another family today. A man fired for taking time off when his son was sick. You're changing lives, Camila. We're changing lives, she corrected. This was never just about me. That's why you won, Dr. Hamilton said. Rebecca fought for power. You fought for people. Power fades. But people? People remember. People matter. After hanging up, Camila pulled out an old photo. Her 16-year-old self, pregnant and scared, holding a pregnancy test. We made it, she whispered to that frightened girl in the picture. We survived. We rose. We won. Not by becoming like Rebecca, not by seeking revenge or hatred, but by refusing to stay invisible, by demanding dignity, by standing up not just for herself, but for everyone who couldn't stand up yet. The foundation she helped create now assisted over 300 families. Workers across the country used her story to fight their own battles. Laws were being changed. Voices were being heard. And somewhere in the city, in a tiny apartment very much like the one Camila used to have, another invisible person listened to Camila's story on the news and decided to record their own evidence and chose not to be invisible anymore. That was the real victory. Not making the powerful powerless, but giving power to those who never had it. Camila smiled, turned off the light, and went to check on Isabella one more time. Her daughter slept peacefully, hugging her stuffed bear. Safe, loved, visible, and that, Camila thought, was everything. The end. If this story touched your heart, like to support stories that matter, share to inspire someone who feels invisible today. And subscribe for more powerful tales of courage, justice, and hope. Remember, no one is invisible. Everyone matters. Every voice deserves to be heard. What would you do in Camila's situation? Comment below.